September 9th, 1847. I have been thinking a lot about it. I believe that everyone suffers from it, but only the lucky ones are able to escape it. There is no cure, not even faith can chase it away. The only way to fulfill its desires is to successfully complete it. We have learned about the brain and its many wonders through the study of phrenology, which has taught us that the design of the deity is what allows a man to eat. The study of phrenology explains the fulfillment of God's will to procreate. Our minds contain the principles of human actions, including the difference between right and wrong, and the sense to learn from the past, aiming to avoid the same mistakes. September 30th, 1847. I have been observing many people in the past weeks. I have come to a conclusion that it is more logical to classify human thought as the occasional doings rather than what is intended during daily life. I began to wonder how we live as God wants us to if we do not know what He is thinking. If we don't understand His creation of life, how do we comprehend creation as a whole? Then it occurred to me that an undiscussed aspect of phrenology can explain my deepest fears and wonders. Perverseness is a human action, perhaps without a motive. It is a principle of human action that has no comprehensible reasoning, or on the contrary, knowing we should not give in to it, causes us to act on it. October 4th, 1847. My mind is racing with thoughts that I cannot quite comprehend. The thought I mentioned previously is developing and is becoming absolutely irresistible to my senses. One thing I do know for certain is the errors in my actions are the force which impels me towards the act. After researching many cases of the perverse thoughts controlling one's actions, the patterns is ever more consistent. A thought develops in one's mind, the impulse grows into a wish, the wish to a desire, the desire to an uncontrollable longing, and the longing, which includes feelings of regret and fear in the person, to an indulgence that defies all possible consequences. October 13th, 1847. The fear lives in me. I am finding it hard to focus on anything other than the minds and ulterior motives of everyone around me. I feel it is best if I remain at my home where I can clear my mind. A crisis is overtaking my mind, and this isn't the first time I've encountered this feeling. I know I have a task to perform, and it must be done soon. I am eager to fulfill my mission simply for the splendid feeling that burns in my soul when it is complete. One problem still arrives, however. Yesterday came and went, and the day is almost through, but I have yet to fulfill my duty. There is always tomorrow, but I fear it will be too late. October 31st, 1847. I am writing from the edge of a cliff. There is a constant thought circling my mind about the rush falling or diving gives a person. Of course, people think of death before diving into the river from a tall rock, or skydiving, but it is this horrible feeling that makes one desire it. Our desires, like most things in life, are discouraged by reason and therefore cause us to even more impetuously approach it. We just hope and expect someone to catch our fall, always taking that chance of plunging and disappearing into the abyss. November 7th, 1847. Perverseness is a funny concept. We act on our thoughts simply because we feel we should not. There is no logical explanation for these imps, and it is believed that good and bad thoughts all develop in the same part of the brain. My fear has developed to a plan, which I have been diligently accomplishing step by step. I had been pondering ideas about how I would go about the murder. At one point, I turned to history to learn of some ideas. As I was reading some French memoirs, I found the story of Madame Poe, who was found dead after a poisonous liquid was accidentally poured into a candle near her bedside. The idea instantly felt right, and I knew that was my chance. The most challenging part of my planning was choosing a scheme that was 100% evidence-free, with no chance of detection whatsoever. I am confident that my plan will be ultimately successful. November 21st, 1847. Over the past few weeks, I have been investigating my victim's home and living conditions while he is at work during the daylight. I was able to make my way into his apartment by climbing the fire escape and prying open a bathroom window. I ventured into his bedroom, where I found piles of books laying on his night table, a fact that worked accordingly to my plan. I also noticed the nature of his apartment. It was extremely narrow and poorly ventilated. I carefully replaced his candle, conveniently located near his bed, with my own concoction of wax and poison, and went on my way. Now I must wait to see if my brilliant plan is as successful as I hope. December 7th, 1847. Today I learned of my victim's death. I passed by his home and many people were gathered as the house was investigated. Finally, one of the investigators declared the death to be death by the visitation of God. As the people mourned for their loss, I felt a sinister smile plastered across my face. At that moment, a brilliant yet questionable idea popped into my mind. I ignored my self-doubt and introduced myself to the spectators at my victim's house as the man's dearest friend. I was then invited to the funeral where I gave a heartfelt speech about the man I had killed. Yet again, I'm amazed at my ability to convince people I was his best friend. January 1st, 1848. The strangest thing recently happened to me. A man that was in charge of the events following the man's death arrived at my home. He told me I had inherited the dead man's estate and belongings. I didn't question anything because it was all too good to be true. Everything is falling into place so nicely. April 18th, 1848. It has been several months and just now I am beginning to doubt myself. At one time I was absolutely certain that my plan had no flaws, and there was no way anyone would ever suspect me of the crime. Recently this has all changed. I had consistent thoughts about what I had done following the act, but never any feeling of fear. I cannot get rid of this new harassing thought, and it is haunting me at all times. It is ringing in my ears like the repetition of an annoying song. I have caught myself many times speaking to myself, saying such things as, "I am safe." But what does this mean? Will I ever be able to control my thoughts, or will they eternally be controlling my life? July 23rd, 1848. I have made it a point to start taking regular walks recently in an attempt to get out of my own head. However, I don't know which is worse. At home alone, I am a constant battle with myself, and when I venture outside, I feel everyone is judging me, like they know my secret. Today, as I was walking down the street, I was overtaken by my thoughts, and I fell to the ground screaming, "I am safe, I am safe, I will confess." I caught myself as I uttered those unfamiliar words, and I instantly felt a chill up my spine. I know my victim's ghost is haunting my life, and there is no way out except to confess to the authorities and cleanse my soul. I tried everything to escape my disturbing thoughts, including vigorously walking about with intervals of running and yelling obnoxiously to release anxiety. October 3rd, 1849. I cannot bear the thought that I am losing at my own game. The plan I had worked so diligently to successfully complete fell into place, but now my world is falling apart. The guilt has overtaken my senses, and I often find myself completely blacking out. In fact, I am beginning to slip away at this moment into a dark abyss of fear. I know what I did, I just don't know quite how it happened. I became uncontrollably excited and then quickly blind and deaf. In that moment, I felt an invisible predator strike my back with his cold hand, and my long-kept secret came bursting forth from my soul. It was an indescribable feeling, confessing everything that I had confined for so long. I was told that my words were clear, and many details were included, hurrying to avoid interruption before I concluded the words that would seal my fate. I made sure not to leave any details out in order to receive the fullest conviction possible. I was to be hanged before going to hell, and now I am confined in this prison awaiting my fate. The best feeling of all is knowing I did this to myself. It didn't have to happen, I didn't have to confess, but I let it, and tomorrow I will be dead. Where I will go is unknown, but I will finally be free, free from my biggest fear, the imp of the perverse.